Welcome to your Conscious Choices for Wellness podcast, hosted by B. Crutelli. This is a space for everyone to learn anything and everything related to healthy healing, including naturopathic medicine, music, dance, yoga, meditation, eco-fashion, mothering, and organic lifestyle choices. Topics for expanding universal consciousness. Come join me weekly as we delve in and begin this journey, sharing valuable content gathered over the past 3 decades, helping to support a healthier and more sustainable future for all. Hello and welcome to today's episode. Here we are in the middle of spring, and I did just find a home with my partner Joseph in Marin County. That's a whole nother story, but I am going to be in the process of moving over the next few months because most of my stuff is in storage about 2.5 hours away. That's without traffic. Let's just say approximately 120. That's probably more like 130 miles apart from my storage unit to the home. And let's just say it's going to be a process. So trusting is loving, is an act of showing love, right? When we're in relationship, we want to trust the person we're in relationship with, whether that's our family members or our intimate partner, our friends, whoever we have relationships in life, even our coworkers. We want to be able to trust them. And when we trust, we are showing love and care, right? So I titled this week's episode, Trust is Love, because I have really found that trust is very important. And for myself, I have had to really just trust. And when I say trust, I mean trust in source, trust in my higher self, that everything is going to be okay, that I am going to have a home, right? That I'm not going to be on the streets or be sleeping in my car, which at times that's what my mind wants to think. That's where my mind wants to go is, maybe I'm just going to live in my car, or maybe I should just be homeless, or, in, times of turmoil when this chronic moving just doesn't seem to stop. So I want to talk about, a little bit about the move and then go into some healing practices and how I stay grounded and sane in difficult times. So California has been my home pretty much my entire life for about 50 years now. I was not born in the state, but came here when I was just a little girl, almost age 2 is when we moved here. So my second birthday, which was my first birthday, celebrated in Northern California. And I'm going to state Northern Cali since we are the second largest state in the US, and Southern Cal or SoCal is very different from NorCal. It, like I said, we're a very large state. So there's Central California, which is in the middle, of course, from Northern and Southern. And really, all 3 sections of the state are quite different. They kind of change as you go more south or as you come more north. There's different pockets and, all different kinds of people here. And it's very diverse. And so Northern Cal is a good, I say 350 miles away because I've driven it many times now, having family down there. And it's a long drive. It can be anywhere from 5+ hours, depending on where you are in Northern California, to drive down to SoCal. And I have yet to be a homeowner in this state, which is partially why all the moving happens. I feel like if I was a homeowner, if I did have a chance to become a homeowner, I was close to becoming a homeowner a couple times in my adult life, but it didn't happen. And so that is probably part of the reason that I just haven't found the right landlord, the right situation where I feel like I can stay for a very long time. Literally in the last, I'm saying 30, going on 31 years now of being an adult in this state, 31 moves later, I've only stayed in 2 places more than 2 years. I'm pretty sure there was one I remember I was in for 2.5 years, and there was one home I was in for over 4 years. And other than that, it's been, anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half, let's say, at most places, which is an average of moving every year. And it's getting to be, yes, quite exhausting. That's why my mind goes to thinking, am I supposed to, not do this? Am I supposed to be more nomadic? Am I supposed to move to another state or country? Well, all of these things are great questions, but I have children and I have tried to stay close to my family, and my youngest is still 17 and she's, got another year of high school. So I'm not quite a freed up mama yet. I'm not quite, ready to just be, free to go wherever, my heart feels like I need to. And so I'm still, needing to stay close enough to my children for the time being. And most of them are in California, which is great. And so, I can visit and whatnot. And, it's home. I've haven't really felt an urge to move, although I do really now feel more recently that I would love to live in another country, preferably a European country, which I have not yet traveled, but I'm really itching to go to Europe. And I think many of you probably know why. I could get very political, which I will not. But I think our country is just really lacking in a lot of ways. And now our democracy is being stolen from us. And we have lunatics running the government. I don't want to say all of the government, because there's a lot of good people still that are trying to fight what's happening. But it's I don't want to say scary, but it's just not right, and it just doesn't make me feel proud to live here or to be, part of this country and what it's kind of standing for, or what the people that are, in charge are standing for. It's not a good thing. But we know, that leaders in other countries do bad things, and we can't just judge all the people that live there, right? It's not like everybody voted to have that person in office and that everybody's supporting that person. It's usually not the case at all. So I am getting segued and telling little stories here. And, who feels it knows it. If you aren't someone who is a chronic mover, then please don't judge me. I see that others can't comprehend why I move every year, and that's okay. It's definitely not what I'd like to be doing with my time, interestingly, to say the least, and is why I've decided this year to start writing about it more. Speaking out about it. I'm like, why the fuck not? It's obviously a big part of my life, and I know there must be other people out there that can relate. So even writing a full-on book with 30 plus chapters, one for every move I've decided would be a really good idea. So I started doing that, and I don't know when I'll finish. That's why I say 30 plus chapters, because there's probably going to be a couple more moves coming up, and I can see myself, finishing that book definitely in the next, maybe 2 to 5 years. Hopefully, that's a good goal. So my body definitely is feeling it physically. As you can imagine, years of packing, loading, unloading, unpacking is exhausting, as anyone can only imagine. Who feels it knows it. Yes, this life for me has been quite the journey in so many ways. Not only have I learned how to transform my own health, helping others along the way as I constantly come back to a grounded state of consciousness with every move of my home. I have to bring myself back to start over again, basically. It's like completely starting over and recreating on some level to make my home home. So I feel grounded and safe there, which is very important for me. And then also getting back on path, because moving is such a huge ordeal that it knocks us off our train track, per se. It kind of knocks us off our path. So whatever path that we're on, our career path, our goals, our achievements, what we're working towards in our life, why we're here, our purpose can get set off because we have to, deal with the move and all the things that entails. And so that's what's, let's just say, frustrating for me most, is that every year I have to get thrown off my track and then come back onto my track and get myself focused and grounded again to start, on my path and my purpose and be aligned with what I'm doing all over again. Reset, right? Reset after reset is happening. And so trusting in my highest self for my highest good is really what I've got to do, and what I'm learning, that if I don't do that, if I don't trust that, okay, like I'm here, I'm learning through every move, for everything that's being thrown my way, for whatever reason, I just trust you, God. I have to, because if I don't, I would literally just lose my shit. I really feel like I would lose my shit. So even though it's so difficult, I have to trust, and I know that God is put me in where I'm supposed to be. Here and now is where I'm supposed to be, right? We have to trust in that we're right where we're supposed to be in every moment, because we make choices, yes, and I don't necessarily believe that all my choices were the right choices, but I'm learning. As long as we're learning and evolving through those choices that we make, then we'll get further along, and maybe someday, hopefully soon, this will all end. And I mean end, meaning that I won't be moving every year, because I literally know that has to be impossible. There's no way that in my older years, when I leave midlife and I'm now an elder, in 10, 15 years from now, that I would still be moving on a yearly basis. That just is ludicrous. And I just don't believe that that's true. And so I am focusing on what I want to believe to be true, and asking and connecting more with Source, especially in the last year. Leaving my, quote unquote corporate job, working for men that were not aligned with, what I was offering. And becoming fully self-sufficient and just doing what I want to do in the last year has brought me so much peace, even though I have moved again and I'm not quite settled yet. I know that I trust that I am going to get more out of this life connecting with my higher self and practicing, the things that bring me closer with my highest self and my spirit, my source, my God, who we are all part of. And this is, my truth. And I trust so much, and I have so many stories of why I trust so much, but it is really essential for keeping sane. So, yes, my body is feeling it. And this life for me has been quite the journey. So, not only have I learned how to transform my own health, but helping others along the way as I constantly come back to a grounded state of consciousness with every move of my home. Right? So this is what balance has been for me. And maybe I have had an intensified lesson to learn in this life. And that's okay. That's why I'm just like, okay, it's still a gift to be here. I am here and I give thanks every day. I have to be grateful for being here and for what I do have and for what I have accomplished. And really, that gratitude keeps me, going forward. So somehow I have remained strong over all the turmoils that attempted to block my path, but instead were there as teachers that led me to where I am now. Grounding consciousness in the midst of physical chaos, which can most definitely also lead to emotional and mental instability, is what keeps me sane. Forever trusting in the process of being here on earth, knowing that this life every day is a gift. Raised without religion, gradually led into my current conscious state of connection to my higher self love. Highest, being, our creator, is my highest self love or lover that is looking out for my best interest at all times. We all have our own special path. We are all unique. And the keys that I've found for being in a balanced state, I'm going to share. And in case this is the first time you're listening to my podcast, I always write first. So I'm somewhat reading from my blog that I have, written, that is my Substack. And then I, of course, elaborate on that and kind of segue and tell stories and whatnot. So the recordings will always be longer than if you wanted to just read my blog, my Substack. It would, be a fraction of the time. And I'll put a link to that in every show note. So first off, be willing to explore and experiment in the flow state. Experiment or experimental is a flow state of being while staying on consistent growth path, right? So we're always growing. As long as we stay open-minded in our exploration and experiments in the flow state. I like the saying, or I love the saying, go with the flow. Trusting, that's kind of like going with the flow, trusting the process. Always developing more awareness of what is. Be in Puma, the Puma state, which is present moment awareness. And then I'm adding consciousness. Okay, remember Puma, which is really PMA, present moment awareness. That will always, just coming back to that, will bring you more peace in whatever's happening. So tuning into the energy throughout the day, moment to moment. Notice shifts in your energy, your alertness, overall sense of well-being are all indicators of energetic state. So some practices that will help are pranayama breathing, which will shift your energy immediately. This is easy medicine. Breathing properly or consciously is obviously the most readily available free resource that we have for creating and sustaining vitality. And I just want to say that so many of us are not breathing properly anymore. Most of us were when we were born, when we came into this lifetime. Some of us maybe even weren't if we had severe trauma in utero. But, traumas and all sorts of factors as we've evolved in childhood into adulthood have caused us to not to be disconnected to our breath, which is our life source, right? I mean, if we weren't breathing, we would not be here. So obviously our breath is very important, and how we're breathing is very important. And this is something that can really bring you a lot of well-being. It's a free resource that was given to us. We would not be here without it. And it is vital to optimum health. So let's stop for a minute, and we're going to do a little practice of just a simple way that we should be conscious of how we are breathing. Because many of us, like I said, are no longer breathing properly or consciously of how we naturally are supposed to breathe for our health and well-being. And part of this is breathing through your nostrils. Some of us are even having trouble with our sinuses, and that's a whole nother topic. But if you can breathe through your sinuses even just a little bit, let's practice this together. So putting your tongue on the roof, resting it gently on the roof of your mouth, stopping to be still, whether you're standing, lying down right now, or sitting in a comfortable position, upright with a good posture, resting your tongue gently on the top of your mouth. Breathe in through both nostrils if possible, very slowly, inhaling deeply through the nose, guiding your breath all the way down as it comes into your lungs, all the way down into your belly, and even into the base of your spine. Now you can count slowly to 4 or maybe 6 seconds. 4 is enough. Hold, stop and hold that inhale for 2 seconds. And then slowly exhale through your mouth for longer, up to 8 seconds. Slowly counting backwards or forwards. I like to count backwards from 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as you're getting to 2 and 1, you're going to feel like you don't really have any breath left, and just try to just push it out like that. You'll be able to just, really exhale. That's when you're exhaling out the toxins. And just imagine just letting go of what you don't want in your body anymore. And you're just pushing it out on those last couple of seconds. Okay, now let's try this together once more. Be still and focus on slowly inhaling deeply through your nose, all the way down to the base of your spine. Hold for 2. And then exhale slowly and gently. All the way out, longer on the exhale. And then push it out. So remembering that on the exhale should always be longer than the inhale. even just natural everyday breathing. Anytime you want to focus on your breath, just always try the exhale just to be a little longer. Okay, this is so important because exhaling, you're letting go of things that are no longer needed. And so many of us are holding on to so many things. Let's just call them toxic substances in our body, whether they're emotions or memories, food particles or medications or, whatever toxic environmental substance that we're breathing in on a daily. All these things are being held in our body. A lot of them cannot be released because there's so many things that we need to release. Okay, almost more than we need to take in. For some, we need to release more, let go, so that there's room to let more of the goodness in. And so the exhale is very important because you're letting that go. And especially if you're visualizing at the same time that you're letting go and you're releasing and you're pushing out what is no longer needed. Okay. It is very, very valuable. Please try this. And in TCM or traditional Chinese medicine, the breath is seen as a force that runs through the mind, body, and spirit like a river running through a dry valley, giving sustenance to everything it touches. And I find that very fucking cool. So now visualization is another tool that will help ground you and keep your sanity in times of stress. Now, visualization can be done when we're meditating. It's kind of a type of meditation, I feel like, for me, when I'm meditating, because I'm visualizing, like connecting with spirit and not thinking about anything that's in my mind, right? So it's a visual, it's an internal visualization without the mind being involved. So meditating on feeling the energy, just feeling the energy that's around yourself, visualizing what is around you, whether it's colors or some kind of designs or, light, dark, whatever it is. What do you want to surround you? Visualize, maybe a color or a glowing light or some kind of sacred geometry. You can visualize these light being, energies around yourself, and then practice by sitting quietly, like you're meditating. Pick a color, whatever color is coming to you, and visualize it growing or glowing around your being, exhaling out the negative energy again on your breath, leaving the body, that negative, whatever it is. If it's a person you need to let go of, if it's something is in your body that you need to let go of, put it in a bubble and visualize it leaving the body, going up into the sky, and then popping as it dissolves into the sky, into stillness, far away from you as it dissipates. And you can do this again at any time. It does not take very long. Even a couple of minutes will be helpful. Movement therapy is essentially good for everyone. I choose yoga and dancing or walking in the woods for my daily maintenance therapy. So very, very essential to living a long life, to not feeling so much pain in the body. Movement therapy is very, very essential. Do not forget that piece. So mastering our emotions are a key part of our energetic state. And this quote unquote state is being part of the conscious whole, reflecting on the entirety of the universe. Emotional regulation is work. especially in the beginning of freeing self from the unconscious abyss, the space of Babylonian bondage. So I wrote that. I'm like, that's just kind of resonated with me because I think so many of us, I know, I've learned that in our culture, I'm just going to speak to my culture here in the US, and I know other countries are experiencing some of this as well. We have been fed lies. I even have a close family member who is completely brainwashed, and it's so, so sad to watch. We have been fed lies throughout our lifetime, and so many of us are just walking around like zombies, like just completely brainwashed. And that doesn't mean that everybody is unhappy, because this family member of mine seems to be happy enough, but is completely fooled and completely brainwashed of what's really happening. And so it's just very sad. And we, in order to spread consciousness on an energetic level throughout our communities and into the broader universe, we need to check oneself. We need to check in with ourselves and our energy. Daily is great. The more we practice, the more we will evolve, and the more we can create this positive collective consciousness. So checking oneself is awareness, okay? And paying attention to feelings and thoughts. This is an act of self-love in itself. Making conscious choices of where to focus your mental energy on a daily. Ask yourself, where am I focusing my mental energy on? Because that is going to create the life that you're living. Period. Acknowledge, never judging, just acknowledgement, setting energy in motion, allowing free flow to happen, not stuffing inward anymore, will prevent blockages from forming within. Because when we're stuffing in negative energy, when we're not releasing it, when, we don't learn, obviously, these tools when we're a kid or an adolescent or a young adult. Many of us are not learning these things until we're much older. And that's why I'm still learning, and I'm sharing what I have found that is helpful and what I know and believe is true, because I really want to help the younger generations, mainly because I have children that are growing up that are in a couple of these younger generations that I want them to have a better life. So, I really want to just feel like I'm doing my part for them, since I took on having them and bringing them to this world. I need to be responsible, right? So growing up, for me, I grew up in the mid 70s to early 90s, let's say. And as an independent only child of divorced parents that were unavailable at the time, forced me to be pursuant of my dreams. Although I'm still being pursuant of my dreams, I have not fulfilled all of my dreams whatsoever. And I'm hoping that I get to fulfill more of them, let's say, in the next 5 to 10 years. I have so many things that I want to do still. And so, though my intuitive senses got weakened over the years past, probably from fears that were subconsciously embellished upon my being, like so many GenX women in my culture group, we now have to overcome the hard lessons from the past, let go, relinquish the pain once and for all. My childhood, it felt like a bit ungrounded and unstable at times, for sure, leading me into early adulthood, making quick decisions that led to harder decisions and a pattern of energetic movements. Yes, many movements. And this is a new and exciting time right now. Right now, this is an exciting time to be alive as more of us are getting on board with efforts of positive transformation. So I'm very excited about this. And I see consciousness evolving and not going backward, changing a bit, of course, with even technology being involved on somewhat, on some level. But I knew many years ago when I started one of the first green living stores that is still going. I'm very proud that that store is still successful here in Northern California. And that at that time, there was enough consciousness of people being woke to wanting better products, to wanting to support fair trade products and not products that are made unsustainably with, poor slavery type wages and, human justice and earth justice and all these values that my core beliefs that I've had for a very, very long time. And I knew that I wanted to bring something into the community that I was hoping would do well, that there was enough conscious or woke people in this community that would accept that and that would want these products, so that we're not all shopping at like Target and Walmart and, so many other, fast fashion brands that came along in the last decade. And so I'm very, excited that there are so many that are still wanting to support these type of products, and organizations that have stayed alive and strong, and, natural food stores even that have stayed alive and strong and that are thriving because, people want those type of products. They want to support organic living. They don't want to be putting chemicals on their body or in their bodies. And so this is very exciting to me. So choosing where to focus our mental energy first, then learning to reconnect with our spiritual essence that makes us feel freedom and love like none else. Practice brings benefits, which can only lead to a sense of fulfillment in the end. So signs of mastery improvements after we have been practicing for some time are feeling a sense of balance, peacefulness, attunement, or harmony in the body. We can just start feeling like more aligned, literally. And that is signs that you are evolving, that you are becoming a master of who you are meant to be, of who you truly are. And the broader picture is not just about feeling good, but it's about seeing positive changes in the outer world too. Right? That's like the broader picture, the big picture. I like to visualize and look at the big picture. It's not just about myself, but we are all connected. So remember, energy is the tangible force that shapes our reality. Energy is magical. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you listened to this entire podcast. I definitely did not mean to make it this long, but that's usually what I do. I am a Leo. I am an Italian, partially Italian, European, mixed Native American woman who loves to talk and express herself when I feel comfortable to do so, when I'm talking about things that light me up and bring me passion and I want to share with y'all. So if you could, please keep listening and, send me a note, send me a comment, give me a review. It would be greatly appreciated. Share this with somebody. I just really want to keep doing this, and I hope you have a beautiful week. Let's keep standing up for what matters and stick together, and we're going to get through this because we are more powerful than the 1%. Thank you. Peace to you and much love. Thank you all so very much for listening today. I genuinely hope that you learned something, and I invite you to join me each week so you never miss a conscious wellness beat. This podcast holds a special place in my heart dedicated to my evolution here, my passionate mission to spread more consciousness for the much needed wellness on Earth. Come join me as a guest as well. Let's collaborate, making change for future generations.